We good?
We should be good to go.
Okay. Everybody ready?
Yep.
Good evening and welcome to the October 13th, 2025 meeting of the Shawnee City Council. I am Mickey Sandifer, Mayor Mickey Sandifer, and I will be chairing this meeting. I'll do a roll call at this time. Councilmember Whitted.
Present.
Councilmember Gillette.
Present.
Councilmember Murphy.
Present.
Councilmember Kimling.
Present.
Councilmember Knappen.
Present.
Councilmember Steens.
Present.
Councilmember Walters online.
She's not.
Okay, she is absent. Councilmember Birchfield.
Present.
Thank you. Please stand and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance followed by a moment of silence. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to explain our procedure for public input. In an effort to enhance residents' ability to present information to the governing body, anyone interested in addressing the governing body is strongly encouraged to sign up to speak by noon on the day of the meeting, but it's not required. Information has been posted online about how to sign up. By policy, comments are limited to 5 minutes and no person may speak more than once about any one agenda item. Only comments related to city business are permitted. Disruptive acts are not permitted as per policy number 7 and will not be tolerated. Additionally, comments can be submitted to the governing body, entire governing body via email at governingbody@thecityofshawnee.org. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Would anyone like to remove anything from the consent agenda? And none, I'll accept a motion.
Move to approve.
Angela,
Second.
I have a motion and a second on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is business from the floor. Did anyone sign up to speak?
No, Mayor, we didn't have anyone pre-register.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on any issue tonight? Hearing none. Next item on the agenda are mayor's items. I don't have anything other than we have Moonlight Market Thursday that everybody should come up and see. The next item on the agenda are public items. Item number 1 is to conduct a public hearing to approve for the approval of the 2026 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan. I'll now accept a motion to conduct a public hearing.
Move to conduct a public hearing for the Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on this to conduct a public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We are in a public hearing. Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to turn this item over to Lauren Grasshopper, Assistant City Manager.
All right, good evening. So this is our second public hearing on our 2026 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan. This is our second year in our 5-year plan or consolidated plan. And so these really, the projects we're proposing align with the strategic priorities that have been set within that 5-year plan, including public facilities and improvements, housing rehabilitation, public services, and then administration, planning, and technical assistance. I think it's probably no surprise we don't know our actual 2026 funding award. So everything you see on the screen currently is set on what our 2025 award is. It is likely this number will fluctuate a little bit up or down, but we are proceeding as if we will have the same general level of funding year over year as we do for 2025. And so the projects on the screen have been identified. There are 2 stormwater pipe replacement projects. These would be new additions to the capital improvement program, which we hopefully will primarily support with the CDBG funding, perhaps up to about $50,000 to complete design and construction from the Stormwater Utility Fund. And so those projects are at Barton Street between 67th and 67th Street and 67th Terrace. And the second one is 71st in Garnett. Neither the design or construction has been completed on those projects. So the cost that's in the packet is a rough estimate on those. A housing rehabilitation project with Friends of JCDS. This house provides housing for 3 individuals with intellectual or developmental disability. They will be using the funding to help with overall project costs for roof repairs. They're also looking at doing bathroom renovation with additional funding, external funding for bathroom accessibility improvements. We have 5 public service projects for 2026 proposed, including for our own Camp Shawnee, funding up to $10,000. And JCPRD as well. These, in order to not have direct competition with services, Camp Shawnee is for summer camp services, JCPRD is for out of school care and not for the summer care program. And then the final 3 are for Catholic Charities, Jewish Family Services, and Metro Lutheran Ministry, all providing rent and utility emergency assistance. And then finally, we are allowed to have up to 20% of our annual award be used for administration. We are setting it at a 10% cap, just over an estimated $27,000. So that concludes my presentation. I can answer any questions we have on 2026 projects. And then moving forward with an consideration for approving our 2026 projects and then authorizing the mayor to sign our application for 2026 funding following our public comment period.
Anyone have any questions? Anyone sign up for this?
No, Mayor, none pre-registered.
Anyone in the audience like to speak on this issue? Hearing none, I'll accept a motion to conclude the public hearing.
Move to conclude the public hearing.
Laura,
Second.
I have a motion and a second to conclude the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Okay. We have 2 motions to consider. The first motion is to consider approving the Community Development Block Grant 2026 Action Plan, Annual Action Plan. Do I have a motion? Jeannie?
Move to approve the Community Development Block Grant 2026 Annual Action Plan.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Angela?
Second.
I have a motion and a second on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. The second motion is to consider authorizing the mayor to sign the 2026 annual plan application following the conclusion of the 30-day public comment period, November 14th, 2025. Do I have a motion? Here.
Move to authorize the mayor to sign the 2026 annual plan for the public comment period.
Second.
And I have a motion and a second on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda are staff items. Item number 1 is to consider approving a substantial amendment to the 2020 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan. Oh,
Once again, Lauren Grassoff on this item.
All right, we are luckily 5 years out from the coronavirus pandemic. We do still have funding available that was specifically allocated during 2020 and 2021 under the Community Development Block Grant Program. This was a very specific set aside that does require a tieback for any projects that are funded with this money to meet sort of the standard program requirements for the CDBG program, as well as prevent, prepare for, or respond to the coronavirus. So far, we've spent about half of the funding through various projects, including economic development grants that we offered in 2020 and 2021, as well as public service activities that really helped support those families that had been impacted by the coronavirus. So when we originally were awarded the funding, we captured it within our 2020 annual action plan. And we, from time to time, amend those in order to add new projects to basically that we didn't necessarily encumber within the original plan. As I've mentioned, we've spent about half of the coronavirus money, CDBG specific money so far. We have had several rounds probably since I'd say 2023. There's really been which is fortunate, a lack of the need for those funds, whether that's from public service agencies or other eligible type projects. So we've done calls for projects with our normal subrecipients. Annually, we do that to see if they still have a need, maybe are serving clients that could fit within the restrictions of the program. We've also done within broader calls within our consortium of members that generally work within the public service or CDBG programs. We've done this probably annually, if not more so, multiple times as we were back several years ago. So we've had limited interest as we move further and further away from the pandemic, which again is a good thing. But we do still have that funding. So we recognize that there's an opportunity, or if there's an opportunity to try to look at a program to see if we could fit something to meet what's required for the program, as well as use these funds before they expire. They do expire. It's 6 years after the agreement was signed, which is September 2026. That doesn't mean just obligate. That means we need to spend the money. So I think everyone's very familiar with Shawnee Community Services. Through our ongoing relationship with them, we were actually doing, myself and our grant administrator, Sophia, we're doing a tour of their facility, and really Sylvia with Shawnee Community Services, who will present shortly after me, identified that they're really running out of space. I think there was always sort of plans to make this facility bigger than it is currently, but unfortunately we're limited for, I think originally based on costs. And so we've looked at just talking through conversations with them. Is this an opportunity to utilize this funding to expand their current outdoor storage area? You can see on the screen there, kind of on the overhead photo, the aerial photo that's there. They do have some outdoor storage. Primarily that's currently used for spare storage of trash. I know they do keep some pallets, things that they need for regular deliveries, but really they're sort of outgrowing that interior space. And so with this project, they're looking at adding covered storage area, a new dumpster enclosure, which is you see on the left-hand side of your screen there in that conceptual site plan, as well as just adding some coverage for the door that they actually provide some pickup services from clients. That's sort of the overall broad project that they are looking at completing. We are proposing to utilize the remainder of those coronavirus funds, just over $198,000. Shawnee Community Services has at this point committed, and you'll see in your packet, they have board approval and we have an agreement in place for them to contribute up to $7,500. It is my understanding, and Sylvia can speak to this, they are going to be a Mayor's Christmas Tree Fund recipient this year, the only recipient. And so part of that campaign will be part of this capital raising for their portion of this project funds. Based on the funding that we've identified as available, it's just over $206,000. We're proposing to administer the design build project on their behalf. City staff time will be provided in kind. And the remainder of the services will be used, the funding will be used for design and construction. Part of the authorization this evening that we're asking for, should you choose to proceed with the project, is to authorize us to bid the design build project. If we get bids in that are substantially over, we can't negotiate down to that 206. Unfortunately, the project just cannot proceed. Both organizations have funding limitations, but we wanted to try. We have an estimate based on a conceptual design from an architect they already had preliminarily worked with, and think it is feasible to get with really close to that 206. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to address those. As I mentioned, Sylvia Terry is also here with Shawnee Community Services, so she can speak about the agency as well as the project that they're looking to do. On the screen is a general timeline that we've outlined and looks at, this is sort of in scope of things, a relatively small project, being able to wrap up with construction by that spending deadline for fall 2026. And then I will hand it over to Sylvia to do again, an overview of their organization and the project, and then we can address any questions you all have.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of this project. My goal is to, one, tell you a little bit about, for the ones who may not be as familiar with Shawnee Community Services, just kind of where we are at, what we do, how we contribute to the community, and then finally to kind of explain from our viewpoint why this project is needed, why the storage conversion project is needed, and then to answer any questions you might have. So, excuse me. Shawnee Community Services, or Community Center of Shawnee Incorporated, was established in 1982, or 43 years ago, on the property that it houses now the Civic Center, the pool, the library, and the Veterans Tribute at Johnson Drive in Plum. We've been at our current location since 1990. The current building was put up, opened in 2013. And as Lauren mentioned, we had intended to be twice the size that it is, but due to rising costs and lack of funding, we had to cut the project in half. And so we are full to capacity and using the outside area again. And as you can imagine, from the picture, you can see that the things are uncovered, and so they become useless if the weather's bad. So, excuse me, our mission is to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, and generally help anyone to do it right and to do it now before they lose hope. Our goal is to fill the gaps in service for our local neighbors in need. So other groups have more strings attached to their funds than we do. And so we're trying to fill in those gaps. And by that, I mean, first of all, we operate 6 days a week. We're seeing 150 to 240 persons cross our threshold daily, Monday through Saturday, to pick up the bakery goods and sweets and perishables that we're able to pick up from local grocery stores. Last year, we picked up and distributed 285 tons of food, and that's the amount that got recorded. So our main project, right now is the food pantry. We do a lot of other things, and I won't bore you with all the details. So just in general, our main thing is the food pantry. And so far this year, we've served 2,626 households, or 6,542 people, with a pantry box that consists of 20 pounds of non-perishables plus 7 or more pounds of frozen meats that we've collected from Target, Walmart, etc. And This year, we've already spent $22,000 in acquiring the food. Just in the past 3 months, we've spent $12,000, $4,000 each of the last 3 months to stock that food pantry, to put out those pantry boxes that I just described. Also, another large function that we're providing is fuel cards. We're purchasing Quick Trip fuel-only cards at $30 a piece. We've already served 372 persons or households at a cost of $11,160 this year. The reason for those fuel cards are for people who are houseless, they're living in their cars, or maybe they have medical appointments they can't get to, or for people who are seeking jobs or maybe don't have transportation to keep that job. Those are the main reasons, not all the reasons. Another thing that's become a large item is we're providing cell phones at a average cost of $50 a phone with 1,500 minutes. We've already provided 97 of those this year at a cost of $4,800. Another thing we do, we just finished in August, was we provided 108 children with brand new backpacks full of school supplies. Some of the other things that we do, we have free clothing and shoes. We provide 450 holiday food packages. We provide phone minutes, backpacks for emergency supplies, camping supplies for the homeless. We have a Christmas Christmas children's party, custom food packages for the homeless, basic supplies except for furniture for rehomed individuals. We host court-assigned community service. We have client assistance for prescription co-pays, rent application fees, small car repairs, laundry, other transportation needs, and many more things. The current needs that we have, besides the storage conversion project, as you can see, we're doing a lot of things in the space that we have, but we're very much in need of donations of non-perishable food items to stock the pantry. Clothing and shoes are in very short supply, and turkeys and hams for Thanksgiving. As far as the storage conversion project goes, very briefly, it's about 1,000. The project is about 1,600 square feet, but 1,000 of it is currently paved in asphalt and not really usable there on what would be the left-hand side of that picture up on the screen. And this would provide a well-ventilated, safe space with working room. Like if we had another coronavirus situation, this would be a safe space for volunteers to work in to process the donated goods that our generous community provide for us to hand out. It would provide more working area. It would allow us to not refuse as many of the donations that our generous community wants to give us lots of things that we can't take because we don't have anywhere to put them. And this would provide the space for those items. The part of the cost, what makes the cost, you're going, well, you're just putting a roof on this space. What's the big deal? Well, the fence has to be extended, the gates have to be moved, but most importantly, the trash container has to be moved forward in order to make that a usable space. And that is going to be a big cost in concrete that's appropriate for the trash truck to pick up the trash. And for my part, I just want to remind everyone that we're an open book and you're welcome to come see us anytime, see what we do. We don't put on a dog and pony show. We've been there 43 years helping the community, and we just plan on continuing to do that to the best of our ability. And again, thank you for allowing me to speak. And if you have any questions, especially about this project that we're asking for these funds, help with these funds.
Thank you, Sylvia.
Okay.
Bert?
Yes, obviously this is a noble endeavor, and obviously you guys do a lot of good for our community. I'm always amazed when I drive by on 67th, how many people are in the parking lot. So thank you for your work and thank you for your presentation tonight. A couple of follow-up questions for you, and then I had a couple for you, Lauren. One, I was just curious, are there income eligibility requirements?
No.
Okay, so anyone in need. And then is it Shawnee residents only or anybody in the county?
Anybody?
Okay. And then Lauren, I was wondering, who administers this for the city? You?
So it will partially be me and then also our grant administrator, Sophia Young. And so we have been working in tandem on this project. We've been working with finance as well as public works, at least on sort of the facility management piece.
And then we take the 17,000 that we get from CBDG and pay part of the grant administrator's salary?
That is correct. We can use funding, some of our admin funds in order to supplement her salary.
And then just to be clear, I mean, this is a pretty significant ask or would be a significant gift from the city. But that said, there's really no Shawnee funds used for this because CBDG grants are doled out by the federal government, correct?
Yeah, staff time will be in kind,
Right.
as far as some of it, and then some of it, again, we can supplement with administrative.
But the majority are
Yes.
federal funds.
Yes, correct. There is no, as far as funding for the project itself, for design and construction, there's no city funds allocated to that.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you. Thank you, Lauren. And thank you, Sylvia, for your presentation. I just had a really quick question. Do you guys like network with other, like, for instance, like the Salvation Army or any of the other food pantries, Catholic charities? You guys kind of network together sometimes as far as like just across the county and for help for people with homelessness, mental health, whatever the needs may be. Thank you.
We work very closely with street outreach from Johnson County Mental Health, but just, I wrote down some of them, of the people. So Johnson County Human Services and Aging, Johnson County Mental Health, including street outreach, which is considered separate, DECA Family Preservation. We participate in the Johnson County Continuum of Care on Homelessness, Project Home, which is a program of the Shawnee Mission School District. Several churches, Shawnee United Methodist Church, Shawnee Presbyterian Church, Monticello United Methodist Church, St. Paul's United Methodist Church. And also we do partner with some groups that are outside of Johnson County, like Community Link, which is Kansas City, Missouri, Willa Gill Center and Wind Up Behavioral Health in Kansas City, Kansas. And that is not a full list of all the groups. We aren't doing a whole lot with Catholic Charities and Salvation Army, just because there hasn't been, that we do have had in times where actually they're calling us. We're really never calling them. But if they request something from us, we do try to collaborate with them.
That's great. Thank you. I was just curious. And I think it's great that you guys are here. I love that Shawnee Community Services has been here. It's a great organization. Because I don't think people realize, like, they think of Johnson County, right, as not having a homeless problem or people in need, and we do have needs. So thank you for being here, like I said, and being in our community. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Sylvia, always good to see you. Thank you for all your hard work, everything you do. The only question I have is, it is a significant amount of money to put a roofing on this. So in the design build, has any consideration been thought, I don't know if it's your answer or a city's answer, about potentially being able to design it so you can enclose it later? Prime example would be what was done at the ice rink out west. They put a roof over the building and eventually a few years later, they enclosed the building. So we want you to be able to continue to grow with your services, utilize these dollars wisely. So from a design build standpoint, will we be able to help them do that?
Yeah, and so I think there's several options potentially. Is it a prefab building that actually has a bigger footprint? And so I think there's options as we go through design build. We've got a pre-bid meeting that we'll talk with anyone that's potentially interested. There is some cost in, they're looking at expanding even just the footprint. So of the storage area, so you need footings for structural walls. And so it's more than just, putting a roof above it. But definitely there's opportunity to sort of work within that footprint and what makes the most sense maybe to grow over time.
Yeah, I think if we go in that direction, then this is a very worthwhile project and I look forward to trying to support it for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Sylvia, thank you. I just want to add as well, my gratitude for all that you do. It sounds like you all are doing a lot of different projects, investing money into a lot of different services to help our community. And talking to other food pantries, I've heard that it is harder and harder to stock those shelves and that our agencies are using more of their own donated funds to be able to purchase items. Has that been your experience?
That is exactly correct. So just as I mentioned, we've already spent $22,000 this year. Used to be, we wouldn't have spent anything or a few because so many food donations were coming in or there were other sources, food drives, et cetera, but all of that's dried up. So we're literally, the occasional thing comes in, but we're buying everything and pretty much at retail, most things at retail.
That's so sad to hear. I'm sorry that we're all in this situation of
Mhm.
having higher need and greater expense to fill that need. So thank you for all that you do. I would just want to double check with Lauren. If we don't spend the money, not just dedicate it, but spend the money by September, it goes back and we lose all of these funds, correct?
That is correct. I think as long as we have an agreement in place and are actively spending money, there won't be a hard and fast September, 26 cutoff. But we do basically need to be close to wrapping up project by next September.
Got it. And in that case, I think this is a win-win for our community. It sounds like it would definitely help your services, help your staff, which is the intent of this grant. And so I'm grateful to staff for finding this, and I'm grateful to our community partners for all that you do. Thank you.
Jamie.
I just find it exciting because I am often in that back parking lot dropping stuff off. And the reality is the way it is now, if you donate on a rainy day, you're in the rain, everything you're donating is in the rain. The workers who come out to get it are in the rain, and it just really puts a damper. So people then don't donate in bad weather, which I'm sure really hurts you in the winter months also.
Yes, it does.
So I'm excited to see this. I would be excited to be able to bring my donations to this new look. So I hope we can make this work. I hope we can get bids that will make it all come together.
I hope so too.
I think it's a great move for the city to help put this together. I remember when your mother was on the city council trying to put this together, and she managed to achieve it.
Yes, she got.
And it's very remarkable what she's put together and made happen.
Yeah, it is truly a tremendous effort and so much. It was a long process, and thank God we actually got to put up the nicer building, and she actually had 2 years in that nicer building. And
It used to be a Quick Trip.
yeah, on that same property was an old cinder block Quick Trip that was already 40 years old. And yeah, that it was just too small from about the minute we got there. And frankly, for a while it was an eyesore, as I'm sure you remember. We didn't mean it to be, but there was just so much community outpouring of wanting to participate to help the people in the community. And we were doing it by not spending money. We were doing it by, somebody gave you a couch and somebody else needed a couch, and we were the middleman. We were the conduit between those, the connector. And that's how we were doing everything. And so unfortunately, we quickly outgrew that space, and we always believed in paying our way. And so we paid off the building before we did anything else. Then we bought the acre and we paid it off before we did anything else. Then we started raising money for a bigger building. By the time we got enough money raised that we could get a loan, then the costs were so high we could only have a building half the size. And so, yeah, it was quite a process, and we appreciate so much your support. And it's such a blessing, the funds that you're going to give us. And they're going to make the total difference on this project. And we only committed to 7,500 because we didn't want to be greedy and say, well, you're going to raise, $1 bazillion and we're going to take it all and put it towards that. So that's why there's the 7,500 is not because we don't think you're going to be super successful, but we didn't want to be greedy. So anyway, we certainly appreciate all of your consideration for us in this project. And we're just super ecstatic. We can't even, express our love for everyone. So thank you very much.
Thank you guys for carrying on the legacy and to create a new one.
Thank you.
You guys did great.
We're trying.
Thank you.
And if you ever get a chance, there's a professional video that was done that's really nice. It's 4 minutes and 40 seconds on YouTube called Evelyn's Legacy. So for anybody who may not have been that familiar with Evelyn and things, that's a good one. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience like to speak on this issue? Hearing none, we have 3 motions to consider. The first motion is to consider approving the substantial amendment to the 2020 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action for inclusion of public facility improvements at Shawnee Community Services to prepare for, respond to, and prevent the coronavirus. Do I have a motion? Laurel?
Move to approve the substantial amendment.
Jeannie?
Second,
I have a motion and a second on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Second motion is to consider approving the grant administration agreement with Shawnee Community Services for the proposed CDBG CV funding project. I'll accept a motion.
Move to approve the grant administration agreement with Shawnee Community Services.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. The third motion is to consider authorizing staff to advertise the design build project for the proposed facility improvements at Shawnee Community Services. I'll accept the motion. Jeannie?
move to authorize staff to advertise for the project.
Sure.
Second.
I have a motion and second on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you. Item number 2 is to consider bids and award the contract for banking services for the city. Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to turn this over to Sean Rocco, who I do not think is going to get any applause for this item, but it's necessary and important to the city. So our finance director, Sean Rocco.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. So the item in front of you is to consider the banking agreement with Commerce Bank. Just for some history, the last time the city issued a banking RFP was actually in May of 2012. So this is actually a little overdue. It's been a goal of mine since I took over as finance director, so it's nice to get this in front of you. So in 2012, we actually awarded banking services to Great Western Bank. And then later, Great Western was acquired by First Interstate, and that's the bank we use today. We found out earlier this year that First Interstate's local branches were being acquired by Enterprise Bank, and that kind of jump-started the whole process so we could get out in front of the change from our current bank. So we opened the RFP earlier this year. We invited a total of 19 banks with the stipulation that they had to have a branch in Johnson County. Obviously, preference was given to those that had a branch within Shawnee. We received a total of 5 qualified bids. Those bids were evaluated and scored, and we narrowed it down to 2 banks that we then brought in for interviews. And at the completion of the process, Commerce Bank was selected as the bank we wanted to move forward with. There is one thing I wanted to note in your packet. There's a dollar amount we provided. That's not necessarily the amount of the contract. That's the average transactions that we have. That would be the fee that would be associated with those. So it is variable. It will change from month to month, but that would be like what an average yearly expense would look like for those banking services. So the recommended action is to authorize the mayor to sign the agreement this evening, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Anyone have any questions? Anyone sign up for this? Anyone in the audience like to speak on this? Hearing none, I'll accept the motion.
Move to approve.
Laurel?
Second.
Have a motion and a second on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item number 3 is to consider bids and award the contract to Conrad Fire for the replacement fire department apparatus with corresponding equipment. Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to turn this over to our Fire Chief, Rick Potter.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. What you have before you is a recommendation or a request to approve an agreement with Conrad Fire Services to purchase a tiller. So a little bit of background, we went out to bid through this process again, submitted that back in July, working with Fire Finance, and we received one bid for this from Conrad. And so for this type of apparatus, which is a tiller, these are fully custom. We didn't have the stock option as we did with the engine that we brought before you last month. So this one is custom. It's the only way that they make these. It is going to take about 49.5 to 52 months is a quote. So that's over 4 years. We're between 4 and 5 years. Our plan, replacement plan, once every 10 years was to replace this in 29. As it is, this will be 2030 when we receive this one. So looking at that also, one of the things I wanted to bring to mind is that within our replacement schedule, the next one we plan to bring to you during our normal replacement schedule won't be until 2028. So that's with the current times. We're hoping that those times shorten, and that would even take us out a little bit longer because we want to receive delivery of that in 2031. So if they continue to shorten those timeframes, we could go out to 29 or whatever, but that's what it's looking like based off of today's conditions. With that, we'd ask you to approve the agreement with Conrad to replace fire department apparatus in an amount not to exceed the 2.573 million. With that, I will take any questions.
Anyone have any questions?
I have one question, just given how expensive these are, do we sell the old one off to a smaller city or is it just retired?
So we do a little bit. So these, when they leave right now, they will move from a front line to a reserve status. So we keep them for a reserve status. So the engine that we just received a couple weeks ago that we're getting ready to put in service in the next couple of weeks, we'll have it ready to go in service. The apparatus that it is replacing is a 2003. It's 22 years old. We don't know with the issues that it has that it's even something that if we wanted to donate it, I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, we donated one to Lewis, Kansas. Sometimes there's smaller communities that would like to take it. This one we don't know. So it may be something, you know, talking to the city manager, may just end up putting it on Purple Wave, which is our mechanism to disperse of city property. But trying to figure out with those, there's probably not a lot of value with that by the time we get there.
Okay.
So just because we do keep them as a reserve for that much on. So usually they're almost 20 years old or older, as in this case, by the time we get rid of them.
Thank you.
Yeah, Chief, just this may be a more nuts and bolts question for Sean than maybe for you, but you may know it anyways. What would be then the bond duration for this? What's the time period there? Will we have all 6 years to spread this out as Sean makes his way up to the front?
So the process or the thought process at this point in time would be, we would order the truck now and we won't be taking advantage of the prepaid discount because we don't have the money at this point, and then we would borrow the money when it's delivered. So there won't be any debt issued for this truck until 49.5 to 50 months from now, somewhere in that time frame.
Okay, thank you.
And then at that time, we would decide, you know, if there are other items we're borrowing for at the time, what the duration of the bonds would be at that point.
Okay, so then I guess my follow-up question that would be is, how are we planning and budgeting for this purchase then, either in the subsequent calendar years, starting next year, with the budget's already been passed versus the years ahead?
Yeah, so we haven't necessarily passed the budget that this would be in yet, because we would issue the debt in 4.5 to 5 years from now when the truck is delivered.
So this is just more of a pre-buy program than.
Yes, we have to have
Dumb it down to.
we have to generate a purchase order to get the truck on so that they can start building it for us. Yep.
Thanks for that explanation.
Anyone else? Anyone signed up for speak on this? Anyone in the audience like to speak on this issue? You have to go up to the podium. State your name and number,
My name and
name
number.
and address.
Oh, really? It's more Lisa Van Gipsick,
No.
8209 West 57th Terrace, Merriam, Kansas, 66202 913 428 6337. All public information. What's a tiller?
Great question. With your permission, sir.
Pardon?
With your permission to answer it.
Yes.
Okay. So a tiller is one that is driven from the front and the back.
Oh,
So it's a tractor trailer combination where the tiller is, so there's a person that rides in back. All they can do is steer. They have no brake pedals, no turn signals, nothing else. They just have a steering wheel where they steer the back end of it. And then we have a front driver that's in the front, and they work together as a team to put that in places that we can't take some of the other aerial or even engines. We can put these tillers in some place just because the way they can articulate.
okay. Thank you.
If there's no more questions, I'll accept the motion. Angela.
Move to approve.
Jeannie,
Second.
I have a motion and a second on this item. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item number 4 is to consider bids and award the construction contract for the 2025 Bridge Repair Program, PN 3618. Oh,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The next couple items will be handled by Kevin Manning, our Director of Public Works.
All right, good evening. This first item is for our bridge repair program. Our program basically consists of a biannual inspection that is mandated by federal law. So we've got 51 public bridges in Shawnee that we do inspect every year, every 2 years. So essentially what we do is we do an inspection. Based on the results of those inspections, we do some design work. If we've got some issues that need to be addressed. And then the following year, we construct those improvements. So in 2025, we've done our inspection and design, and we will be doing our construction in 2026. But we do have our bids that came in. We're going to be doing basically some repair work on 8 different bridges. And these are basically fairly minor repairs. These are intended to be kind of preventative maintenance to prevent larger issues in the future. So just an example of some of the things we may do on this project is concrete patching on the bridges and approach slabs. If we have brush that's starting to gather and potentially kind of get into the bridge, we clear all that out. Maybe mud jacking if we've got some settling out there, repairing any damaged rebar, and then crack sealing and waterproofing for these bridges. So we did have 2 bids come in for this program. The low was Comanche at $341,894.
any questions for staff? Anyone sign up for this? Anyone in the audience like to speak on this? Hearing none, I'll accept the motion. Tony?
Move to approve PN 3618.
Here.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item number 5 is to consider bids and award the contract for the 75th and Schweitzer Larson 65th to 67th Street project. Adopting a resolution is also required for authorization to acquire easements. Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And once again, Kevin Manning on this item.
All right, so this will be a 2026 SMAC project. These are 2 different locations that you can kind of see here that we're kind of rolling into one project. One is on the northwest corner of 75th and Schweitzer, and the second is Larson Lane from 65th Street to 67th Street. On this project, we'll be replacing around 13 total pipes, around 2,300 linear feet. And one thing I did want to touch on Larson Lane, there was a resident that came in a few times share his concerns about speeding on that roadway and the fact that there was no sidewalk. So as part of this project, we will be looking at adding sidewalk on Larson Lane from 65th Street to 67th Street. The final location hasn't been selected yet, but it looks like it could be on the east side, but we'll make that determination once we've completed design. So tonight before you, you've got the design contract with professional engineering consultants in the amount of $250,450. And there's also a resolution to approve the authorization to acquire temporary and or permanent easements for the project.
Any questions for staff? Anyone sign up for, oh, Tony?
Yeah, just real quick, Kevin, this is within the budgeted process within our budget to do this for next year.
That's correct, yes.
Thank you.
Anyone sign up for this? Anyone in the audience like to speak on this? Hearing none, I'll accept a motion.
Move to approve?
Laurel,
Second.
have a motion and a second on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Or there's two motions on this. That was the first motion. Second motion is to consider adopting the resolution to approve the authorization to acquire temporary and or permanent easements for the project. I'll accept a motion. Jeannie,
Move to adopt a resolution to approve authorization to acquire easements.
Second.
got a motion and a second on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item number 6 is to consider change orders to contract number 2024-051 with A-Bay Construction for the 75th Street and Schweitzer CMP replacement project. Oh,
Once again, Kevin Manning on this item.
So this is actually a different 75th and Schweitzer project than the one that was that you just approved. So this is actually a 2024 SMAC project. And the change order tonight is $88,084.51. And that's for some additional work that we needed to do, basically on the sidewalk, a driveway approach, and basically across a drainage easement that's on private property to modify the drainage. There was basically an issue during construction where we had water draining the wrong way under the current design. So we're gonna have to go out there and doing some additional work.
thank you. Any questions for staff? Anyone sign up for this one? Anyone in the audience like to speak on this? Hearing none, I'll accept a motion. Laura,
Move to approve the change order.
Angela?
Second.
I have a motion and a second on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item number 7 is to consider bids and award the contract for the Blackfish Parkway west of Flum project. Adopting a resolution is also required for authorization to acquire easements. Paul,
One more time, Kevin Manning.
This will be another 2026 SMAC project. We're going to be replacing about 2,500 linear feet of pipes spread across basically 5 different areas that you can kind of see here on your map. So it's definitely a substantial project, but a lot of these pipes, old CMP, and they're going underneath Blackfish Parkway, which is a major roadway for us. So we're excited to get out there and start this project. This item tonight is a design contract with BG Consultants in the amount of $251,998. And there's also a motion to authorize the acquisition of temporary and permanent easements.
thank you. Any questions for staff? Anyone sign up for this? Anyone in the audience like to speak on this? We have 2 motions on this to consider. First motion is to consider approving the contract for the BG Consultants Incorporated for the Blackfish West of Flum CMP replacement project in the amount of $251,998 and authorize the mayor to sign the contract. I'll accept the motion. Jeannie,
Move to approve.
Laurel,
Second.
I have a motion and a second on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. The second motion is to consider adopting a resolution to approve the authorization to acquire temporary and or permanent easement for the project. I'll accept the motion. Laurel,
Move to adopt the resolution.
Jeannie,
Second.
I have a motion and a second on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Item number 8 is to consider bids and award contract for the 2026 city mowing services. Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our Parks and Recreation Director, Tanya LaCure, will handle this item.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to present this. As you all may remember, we do our mowing bids every 3 years. We look for a contract that would be a contract with 2 opportunities to renew. This is a new contract, so this would be the first of 3 years going forward. We did go out to bid. There was 2 bids received. Staff is recommending the contract to Kansas Land Management, which is who we have used for a number of years, in the amount of $310,174. When we did this with the 2 bids, the other bid that came in was $1.3 million to compare to what we have here. So some concerns with or comments or questions that may come with that is why. And there's very few companies that are of the size that can do both park and right-of-way mowing. So presenting this for your approval this evening.
Any questions from staff? Tony?
Yes, Tony, thanks. Reading through the packet, I understand that the bid actually did come in about $10,900 less than previously. And of course, not explained in the packet is why or how. And so I was wondering if you can expound just briefly on how that was possible.
So as I said, we've worked with Kansas Land Management for a number of years, and they like working for the city of Shawnee. They like our projects, our parks, and the way we do business. And so anytime you go out for a bid, they want to make sure that they are sharpening their pencil and making sure they consider everything as they go forward. And so we took that as a plus, that they wanted to make sure that they came in with a good bid.
So not anything less as far as their service agreement or space that they would be responsible for. It's just the bidding.
No, and in the packet were all of the different maps and areas that shows where that's from. So all this.
Do we have any way to continue to reduce our contract services, in your opinion, for any of these future bids? And
Not
this would lock us down for 3 years again, but.
Right, not for mowing. I don't think, based on the size of our staff and what it takes to mow the various areas and the type of equipment necessary. This is pretty much the standard for all of the agencies within Johnson County, just to make the most of their staffing that they have.
I appreciate that explanation. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone sign up for this? Anyone in the audience like to speak on this issue? Hearing none, I'll accept a motion. Jeannie?
Move to approve.
Kurt?
Second.
I have a motion and a second on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda are miscellaneous items. Item number 1 is to ratify the semi-monthly claim for October 13th, 2025 in the amount of $8,889,819.07. Anyone sign up? Anyone in the audience like to speak on this? Hearing none, I'll accept a motion. Kurt?
Move to approve.
Angela?
Second.
I have a motion and a second on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item, item number 2 is miscellaneous council item. Paul, do you have anything?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Okay, does anyone on the council have any miscellaneous council items? Kurt?
Yeah, I had one comment and one question for staff. First of all, I wanted to commend our Public Works and the contractor that's working with the mill and overlay for Shawnee Mission Parkway. And in particular, what I appreciate is that it's been kind of a mess and an inconvenience, but I appreciate that when things are closed down, they're actively working on it, as opposed to having them closed down and you feel like nothing's getting done. And it's great to drive on the new and improved roadway. And I was amazed to see the shape of some of the stormwater that's been pulled out along the way. So very happy that we're making those improvements. Second one was a question for Kevin. And that is just a really quick update on the Mill Valley sinkhole situation, and specifically how, when you expect that road to be back open. Thank you.
Sure. So that, as you know, I mean, the road's closed right now. We're anticipating it's going to be closed throughout the remainder of October, and it will be open up around November 1.
Okay.
There may be a few more weeks of work outside of the roadway where they're going to be pouring a head wall. So there may be still some construction activity out there, but the roadway will be open.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Tony?
And Mr. Knappen stole my thunder, actually. I came home late from a flight last night and had to go down Shawnee Mission Parkway. I was just telling Kevin about this before the meeting. And I was amazed at the progress that was made. It looks really great. Drove very smoothly. So hats off to staff, doing a great job on that. Appreciate it so very much.
Anyone else? There's no other items. I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We are adjourned.
And just a note that the council committee meeting will begin as quickly as we can wrangle everybody up to get back to the dais.